my name is Bill Korb. I'm running to be the next state representative in the 42nd District of the Michigan House of Representatives. I'm an Army veteran, IT professional. When I was 18, I joined the Army. I served a tour in Afghanistan. I got out on a because of medical reasons, on an honorable discharge, and continued contracting with the federal government after I got out. And the reason I want to run is because I'm just tired of watching corporations take bigger and bigger pieces of political power in our state, in our country, in all forms of government. That's why we're not taking any corporate or corporate PAC money, but I also believe that housing, healthcare, education, and safe work for fair pay are human rights, and the government should work in service of those rights. I think that making a lot of residents aware with more aggressive campaigns. For instance, there was a project that's getting approved in my own township, and residents said, hey, we aren't aware of it. But the people that did it mailed them, I think, one time, and it's not very an aggressive way. It's just kind of checking a box. I think people need to have somebody knocking on their door or mailed, or just a lot more transparency that puts the information out there aggressively and says, hey, this event is happening. Please go check in on it. Put your input in a certain location, whichever office that may be. First off, transparency in Michigan is terrible as far as our our state leaders. We're the bottom two for transparency in the United States, and that has to change, because without transparency, people will just kind of assume the worst. Like there's backroom deals or special things that are getting serviced to people so they will vote a certain way on certain spending bills. I think opening up transparency would restore a lot of trust back in the government, but also making sure that people know where to go and find these budget proposals and what our final say is. I think about accountability as staying available to the public, holding regular town halls, regular coffee hours, and as many times as possible. So not just, Friday at 10 a.m. at a coffee shop where people who are actually like working class can't meet you. So having town halls in the afternoon, maybe happy hours, maybe coffee hours on the weekend, or other public spaces, and making sure that your office is aware that it should be open to be taking calls. So a lot of housing issues revolve around zoning. It's not a super exciting aspect of the housing issue, but it goes into zoning. Right now, I was at an event about housing in Allegan County, and they had somebody from Ottawa County come down. They need 10,000 houses that are affordable, which is around $275,000 or below. All the houses that they helped design were like 440 square feet onto 1,000 square feet, just good starter homes. None of them are legal to build anywhere in Ottawa County, because all the zoning requires you to have like 100-foot plots, or the square footage minimums of a house are exceed those levels. So that 440 isn't legal to build anywhere. They had an 800 square foot one that was only legal in 2 municipalities in Ottawa. So readdressing zoning and creating good starter home availability is where we should go. So there's not a lot of trust in public safety. And I think, first off, I think our police officers need to have much more training than what they currently do. I think that we should institute an insurance system for officers. So if you're liable, police officers shouldn't have fines that are paid for by municipalities. They should be paid out of that insurance, just like we have doctors. Doctors also concern themselves with life and death decisions. If you have a bad doctor who's constantly a insurance risk, they don't get insured, they don't have a job. Same thing with police. But I also think that we need to put a lot of more funding into other things such as social workers, mental health awareness, and issues like that, rather than just meeting everything with an armed officer. First off, I think we should just be paying a living wage. We lost the fight for $15 an hour. We're not even at 15. We won't be at 15 until next year. And the living wage in Michigan is $21, $22, somewhere in there. It should be tied to inflation, and that's the long and short of that. We should also be capping mandatory overtimes and mandating day of rest laws so people have a chance to live, not just work to live, but get to live their lives in a solid work-life balance. So at the state level, the worst part about this is that our flat income tax puts the pressure on working class families to pay for the state budget. I think we have to work really hard to undo that in our state constitution and make a gradual tax rate so people who make more can contribute a little bit more into the pot, reducing the problems of squeezing the middle class or working class and paying more, because it's just constantly like, hey, I can't, my property taxes are too high, my income tax is too high, and it's because of these flat taxes that we can't address that. We can't lower it, we can't raise it, because it'll just hurt working families, it'll hurt our schools. We have to make space for them and hear them out when they make the opportunity to do so. Also, be proactive in listening to those affected communities as well. I'm in a couple activist groups right now that are all about bringing about equity inside of our politics and addressing things like colonialism and anti-racism work. And I think that's stuff that we all need to work on in our aspect of creating a more equitable society. The health of our democracy is honestly not good in my eyes. With the voting rights decision by our Supreme Court that just got struck down, a lot of people are kind of hiding behind the fact that it's like, oh, well, you can't design stuff by race anymore, but that's why it was there, was to protect black and brown voices in our politics and bring them to the forefront instead of just having random people represent their areas. It's a complete kind of ignorance of our history of race in this country. So I think codifying that, getting rid of gerrymandering, Michigan's done a lot of good work here in the state, but there is so much more work we have to do, and these are under attack actively. So we have to stay vigilant and get out there and be active. Your voice does matter because your vote matters. If your vote didn't matter, people would not be working this hard to make sure it didn't matter. Your vote 100% matters, you have a voice, but I know a lot of people are just kind of burnt out because there are a lot of politicians that are serving corporate interests while saying they serve the public. A core value we had in the Army is selfless service, and that's what public service is all about. We need to realize that this is important work being done by unimportant people, and politicians have to stop acting like they're more important, or they're getting wealthy in their offices and should be returning to public work. I'm kind of an idealist, I would say. I know that there's a lot of times I'll be talking to people and I say, I still trust in some of our institutions, and I come from it from a good-hearted place. I know a lot of work that we've talked about has to be done, but I love the state, I love this country, and it can be the version that we were told about in our 5th grade history classes. It just needs a lot of work and polish to get there.